That's zoomed in my face a lot. There we go. Oh, that's so funny. So, my name is Hannah and I'm going to film my journey with having brain cancer. I previously have filmed little videos of me going through treatment and pretty much day-to-day symptoms wise, but I've never actually spoke about what made me unwell and how we came to be diagnosed. So I've made notes because there's a lot and I will probably forget something because that's just how it is. So to start with, my brain tumour is called Brian. That's what we've named him. So if I refer to Brian, that's who I'm referring to. So first of all, I have a high grade glioma. So, or glioblastoma. So in my pons region in my brain stem. So that's at the bottom of my brain. It's like a little tube and Brian sits in there and Brian puts pressure on all my nerves. So everything that makes my body work, the nerves for that are inside the brain stem. And Brian sits nicely in there and puts a lot of pressure on them. So when do I begin? That's a little story on what Brian is. So on maybe around September, my symptoms started. September 2020. So what happened, what we first noticed, and you can still to this day tell, is my voice started to change. So words became harder to pronounce and sentences became harder to get out. And talking for a long period of time was very hard. I also had trouble with my swallowing and my eating. I struggled a lot with food. I remember one day it took me 50 minutes to eat some roast chicken and veggies. And we didn't really think too much of it. I'd see family and tell them about these weird symptoms that I was having. And some days they'd be fine and then some days they'd be really bad. And no one really knew what was going on. I know we tried Nexium for like reflux, it didn't work. Like I had basic Panadol and Nurofen, that didn't work. And then over time I just kind of was like, oh, this has just happened, it might just go away, I'll leave it. And then it wasn't until about November time, towards the end of November, that I got sick. I started a new job in makeup, which I loved. I worked at Benefit in the Maya Centre and I loved it. And then after about 2 weeks, I could not get out of bed. I was vomiting, I was nauseous, couldn't keep any food down, I was sweating, I was so bad I couldn't sleep in my bedroom because I had to have the aircon and the fan on because otherwise I was just drenched in sweat. So I moved the mattress, my ex-partner moved the mattress into the lounge room, and I was bedridden. I couldn't keep water down, I couldn't keep food down, I was on Hydrolyte icy bowls, and even those wouldn't stay down. I went to see multiple doctors. I saw regular GPs, and they were unsure. I went to a GP that I went to quite regularly, and she wanted to get me tested for an eating disorder. I've never had a problem with food. I've never not wanted to eat, been unhappy with food. I've never had a negative relationship with food. So getting told that I might have an eating disorder was very weird to me. I remember as well, around that same sort of time, my dad sat down with me and we went through everything that was going on in my life. Relationship, friendships, my job, how I was feeling, everything, and we were trying to work out what was making a negative impact on my life. And nothing really stood out to us. I saw maybe 5 GPs and got turned away by every single one of them saying, it will just go away. It will be either this, we'll see a psychiatrist, we'll put you on a mental health plan. Maybe you're depressed, maybe you have anxiety. So all of this was really unclear. And I remember one day I'd been to the gym with my sister, and I was at the front of her house. We were getting ready to go somewhere, and I was like, I do not feel well. So drove myself to hospital. I had Lauren, my sister, with me, and the ED doctor sent me for an ENT, which is where they put the camera up your nose and make sure there's nothing blocking it. Because I think, as well, prior to that hospital, going to the emergency room, I had been able to eat something, and later in the day I blew my nose and food came out of my nose. So I was so scared, and I took pictures of it and I sent it to my mum, sent it to my auntie, sent it to everyone I knew, and was like, oh my god, this just came out my nose. And no one knew. None of us knew what to do. None of us knew why it happened or how it happened. But then when I was at the emergency room, I told them that as well. So they sent me for the ENT. Everything up here was clear. There was no blockage. There was nothing. And there was no real story of why I was feeling like this. And he sent me away. We spent maybe 7 or 8 hours in the emergency. He sent me away on the discharge summary. Symptoms will stop. Symptoms will just go away. Now, I didn't expect him to know like that what was wrong. But a little bit of investigation might have helped. So, coming forward to December, it still hadn't stopped. I was getting worse. I wasn't eating. I was vomiting. I was so sick. And then I went back to the doctors and said, look, nothing's working. I'm still like this. So they sent me a referral to have an MRI. I couldn't book the MRI until middle of Jan 2021. It was December 2020. So I booked it in, and then I thought, we'll just try and deal with what we have until I can get it looked at. My mum then moved up from Victoria, and I went to stay with her for a few days. I was having a tough time at home. I wanted to get away for a little bit. So my stepdad came and picked me up. My mum took one look at me when she saw me and was like, nah, something's not right. We need to get this looked at straight away. And within, I think the next day, she had booked me in for a private MRI. And I went and had the MRI. I wasn't worried. You never are. And then after we finished the MRI, we were sitting there waiting for the, I think it was the nurse or the doctor, and he came out and said, do you have an appointment with your GP to discuss the results? And I said, not yet. And he said, call them and make an appointment ASAP. So we're like, oh, they found something. There was probably, I don't know. I have no idea what I was thinking at the time. Definitely was not a brain tumour, that's for sure. So Saturday came around, and then the next day, and we had to drive into Brisbane to go to the doctors. It was also the day of my little cousin's birthday. So it was the 19th of December. We were waiting there in the waiting room, and a doctor who I had never seen before was calling out my name. And we were sitting there, and she came over to us, and she said, it's a tumour. First reaction I had, Mum was speechless, as a mum would be. And my first reaction, I remember, was, am I going to die? I remember so vividly me saying that to the doctor with my mum next to me. Okay, not gonna get upset. Mum left the room to call my auntie, and my sister, because we needed to be together. We needed to be together as a family. We were meant to be going to my sister's house to have a barbecue, and celebrate my little cousin's birthday. But we didn't get to do that. I'm okay. So we went to, after everyone had been told, we drove me to the hospital, and we went to emergency and just gave them the results. You just don't expect it. You just don't expect something like that. You just don't expect something like that to happen to you. So, went to emergency, gave them the news. They admitted me straight away, and I went up to the neurology ward at the Royal Brisbane. And I had the most loveliest nurses. They were so nice. And then I met the neurology team, met the oncologist, met radiation, everyone that I needed to meet to make a treatment plan for myself. Well, they were making a plan of what we're going to do. So, plan was start oral chemotherapy straight away, and then begin 6 weeks, 30 rounds of radiation in the new year. So that was the plan. I started on so many medications. So many. I still have so many medications now. I needed to be on 4 anti-nausea wafers a day. I needed to be on Somac for indigestion. I needed to be on steroids, dexamethasone for swelling in my brain. It helps stop swelling. But the worst part of all of this were the side effects of the medication. And side effects from radiation. I had no side effects from my chemo. I was, touch wood, I was so lucky with my chemo. So I was in hospital until the 22nd of December or the 23rd. I got to go home for Christmas. Had a massive Christmas, had all the family over, and we just forgot about everything for the 2 days that I was home. And then first week of January, I think it was maybe the 5th of January, I started my radiation. Basically, laying on a big bed, and then for 15 minutes, and had a big machine circle around me for 15 minutes, and that was it. I'd do that Monday and Friday for 6 weeks. I had different times every day. So I live in Ipswich. So it was a 50-minute trip to the hospital, there and then 50 minutes back. My mum, who is an angel, stopped working to look after me. She'd take me to radiation, and family would meet us there, and we'd all be there. I'd have my dad there every day. I'd have my auntie when she wasn't at work. All be in the waiting room waiting for me to finish radiation. I'd have to wear this mask. It doesn't fit me anymore because my face swelled up from my steroids. But they put this on and they drew it on my face pretty much to measure out where the radiation is gonna hit. It's pretty scary looking, but it's pretty cool to have as a souvenir and be like, I did that for 6 weeks. It got tighter as the days went on because I swell from all the medicine. But it's pretty cool to have. So basically that was my treatment. Radiation stopped, I think, mid-February. Radiation made me so unwell. I was so tired. I was so weak. I was in a wheelchair. It affected all the nerves in my... Well, we think it was Brian, but I think a combination of Brian and a combination of all the medicines and going through radiation just made me so weak. I could barely talk as well. My voice is a little bit better, a lot better than it was. I refused to answer my phone. I refused to see people because I couldn't talk. But it's all improving now. I remember I was sleeping for maybe 12 hours of the day, and then I go to bed on the night time, and I still sleep all the way through the night. It's very hard. We have good days, and we have bad days. Constant headaches. I never ever had headaches before Brian came along. Now I permanently have headaches. But we're moving up. We no longer need the wheelchair. I can now talk on the phone. I can now do things that I couldn't do when I was going through radiation. I'm almost finished my steroids. So we're improving. When things are looking up, it makes you realize how much you took for granted before something like this happens to you. I could no longer drive, so I had to sell my car. I could no longer work. I can't do my makeup job that I used to do. I used to complain about having to work. I remember every day I used to ask my ex-boyfriend if I could be a stay-at-home wife because I didn't want to work. I wanted to stay home. And when you're deprived of not being able to work again, I can't tell you how much I want to be able to wake up every day and go to work. But I have so much to be grateful for. I have so much in life to be grateful for. I have an amazing family, amazing friends, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful. Things could be better. Obviously, I could have a normal life, but this isn't a normal. And I'm not gonna let it get me down. I'm gonna enjoy everything to the best that I can. I'm going to do everything that I can. And I'm not going to complain. I could sit around and say how shit this is and how unfair, but what's the point? I'm happy and I have so much to live for. And yeah, that's my story. It probably came on across a bit messy, but it's messy. It's a messy situation, but I hope that it makes things a bit more clear and makes people understand what I'm going through. Did I forget any? Oh, what? The most important thing I forgot to tell you. I saw my neurosurgeons and it's inoperable. I can't have surgery to remove the tumour because of the position of the tumour. So we're relying on the treatment from chemo and the treatment from radiation to shrink Brian so he's so small and can't do any damage to me, because operating would be too much of a risk. I could be paralyzed, I could bleed, and then because of the area, they couldn't stop the bleeding. And then the third one, probably the worst risk, is that I could die. So that's why I can't be operated on. Because no one will go near me. So we're just relying on chemo. But that's my story. That's what I'm going through at the moment. Yeah. And stick around because I'll be uploading more videos. On a lighter note, there'll be nicer videos of makeup and beauty and skincare and hair. So, yeah. Bye!